"Don't come to the wedding," my son said, reaching for his coffee. "You're just the maid. You can watch it on live stream." He didn't even look up. I stood there for a moment, still holding the Tupperware I'd brought over potato salad, the kind he used to ask for every 4th of July. His fiancée, Claire, had her phone out scrolling like she hadn't just heard him erase me with a single sentence. I didn't drop the container. I didn't gasp. I just blinked once and set it gently on the kitchen counter. "You're just the maid." That's what he said. Not Mom. Not even Carolyn. Just the maid. Like I was part of the house. Like I'd always been background noise. I had raised him alone. After his father passed, I worked 2 jobs, cleaned houses on the weekends, packed his school lunches with notes inside. He used to call me his hero. I used to believe that meant something permanent. Apparently not. He poured himself more coffee, added almond milk, his new health kick, and said something to Claire about the seating chart. They were planning the rehearsal dinner, and I hadn't been asked for input. Just for money. 3 weeks ago, I wired them $28,000. Venue deposit, photographer, dress fittings, catering tastings. I never complained. That's what moms do, right? Except I hadn't been invited. Not officially. They sent a shared Google Doc about logistics. There was no paper invitation. And now this. "You can still be part of it," Claire said, finally glancing at me. "We're sending out a private livestream link. It'll be like you're there. Like I was there." I smiled tight, polite. The kind of smile women wear when they're swallowing a storm. "That's thoughtful," I said. My voice didn't even crack. Then I picked up my purse. It felt heavier than usual. Or maybe I just did. "I should head out," I said. Neither of them looked up. Outside, the air felt sharp even for early May. My hands shook a little as I started the car. Not from rage, from realization. He didn't say those words to hurt me. He said them like they were obvious. And in that moment, I understood something I'd never let myself believe before. Some people don't outgrow you. They replace you. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. But I knew one thing for certain. I wasn't going to fund a seat I wasn't allowed to sit in. I didn't go straight home. I stopped by the grocery store and walked the aisles like I was looking for something I'd forgotten. I wasn't. I just didn't want to sit in a quiet house with his words still echoing. "You're just the maid." The thing is, I used to clean houses. After my husband died, there was no second income, just bills and mouths to feed. So I filed paperwork at the hospital during the day and scrubbed other people's kitchen tiles at night. I told myself it was temporary. I told myself I'd trade my comfort for their future. And I did. I gave up vacations, skipped dinners out. I wore shoes until the soles peeled off. But they had what they needed. New backpacks, soccer uniforms, tutors. I was the background hum that kept things running. And I never asked for recognition. Just respect. That was the deal. Or so I thought. When Jeremy was 9 and got his first C in math, I made flashcards after work until midnight. When he broke his collarbone at 14, I slept upright in a hospital chair for 3 nights. When he didn't get into his first choice college, I drove 3 states in silence, so he wouldn't have to say he was disappointed. I was always there. Quietly. Reliably. And maybe that's the problem. Maybe when you do everything silently, people forget there's someone doing it at all. At the hospital where I still work, I'm known as Ms. Carolyn. I've trained half the junior staff. I keep everyone's birthdays on a spreadsheet and know which nurses like cream in their coffee and which ones don't drink caffeine after noon. At work, I'm seen. At home, I'm service. That night, I made myself tea, but didn't drink it. I just held the cup and stared at the backsplash I'd tiled myself. Jeremy never noticed the grout color I picked. There's a moment every mother has it, I think, when you realize the giving isn't being seen as giving. It's just expected. Expected and spent. I had spent enough. The next morning, I got dressed like it was any other Tuesday. Cardigan, flats, simple earrings. I packed my lunch, paid the water bill, fed the neighbor's cat. Life in motion. But something was different. For the first time, I wasn't looking for a way to be included. I was looking for the receipt. By the time I reached my office the next morning, the decision had already taken root. It wasn't a rage-fueled thing. I didn't stomp or slam or draft angry emails. I just opened my planner, flipped to Friday's reminder, and crossed it out. Finalize transfer. $50,000 Jeremy and Claire's venue. I stared at the line I'd written myself 3 weeks earlier. Then I circled it in red. And underneath, I wrote one more word: cancel. Tom, my financial advisor of 15 years, answered on the second ring. Carolyn, I was just about to call you. We've got the final wire scheduled for Friday, just confirming the details with the vineyard. Actually, Tom, I said that's why I'm calling. There was a pause. Is everything all right? I need to cancel the transfer. He hesitated. I could almost hear him tilting his head over the phone. You're canceling the entire $50,000, yes. The circumstances have changed, I see, he said slowly. There may be a small processing fee depending on timing, but you're just under the cutoff window. I can stop it before it clears. Please do. Another pause. Then softly, do you want to talk about it? I looked out the office window where nurses were walking into the building. Someone dropped a cup of iced coffee and quietly picked it up. No one made a scene. Life just moved forward. No, I said. I just want it done. He didn't press. That's why I liked Tom. By lunchtime, it was official. The money would not be sent. I didn't tell anyone. I didn't post anything. I didn't write a long message to Jeremy or Claire explaining my reasons. I just acted. That evening, I opened my front door to find 6 missed calls from Jeremy, 2 from Ethan, and 1 voicemail that began with Mom. Please don't do this. I didn't listen to the rest. Instead, I poured a glass of Cabernet I'd been saving for their rehearsal dinner. It had a gold sticker on the bottle and a note in my handwriting open the night before. Celebrate love. I peeled the sticker off and dropped it into the trash. Outside, the wind rustled the trees gently. The porch light flicked on without me asking. My hands didn't shake. There's a quiet power in knowing you were never supposed to be part of the picture, only the frame that held it up. I raised my glass, not in anger, not in grief, just in clarity. And for the first time in a long time, I didn't toast to anyone else, just to the space I was reclaiming. It was just after 9 p.m. when the doorbell rang. I was in my robe, still nursing the same glass of wine from earlier, flipping through a dog-eared mystery novel I'd read twice already. The porch light had been on since sunset, casting soft shadows against the window. When I opened the door, Ethan stood there. He looked like he'd come straight from work, tie half loosened, shirt sleeves rolled up, expression pulled tight. Hey, Mom, he said, stepping in before I could respond. We need to talk. I didn't move to stop him. He paced straight into the living room, still holding his phone like a prop. Jeremy's freaking out. Claire's in tears. The venue called them twice. The payment didn't go through. I said nothing. He turned. They're saying you pulled the transfer. That can't be right, right? I walked into the kitchen, topped off my wine, and leaned on the counter. It's right, I said quietly. His eyes widened. Why? You already sent money. You were going to finish the whole thing. What changed? I looked at my son, the one I'd taught to tie his shoes, the one who once begged me not to date again after Dad died because he didn't want anyone replacing him. What changed? I repeated. I was told, I'm the maid. And the maid isn't invited. Ethan groaned. Mom, that was just a dumb thing, Jeremy said. He didn't mean it like that. No, I tilted my head. Then how did he mean it? He fumbled. You're making this bigger than it is. I straightened. I'm not making it anything. I'm simply responding to what I was told. If I'm not welcome, then neither is my money. They're counting on you, Mom. The vendors, the guests, this affects everything. I know. He stepped closer, lowering his voice. Come on. She's your daughter. And I'm her mother, I said. Still calm. A mother who wasn't invited to her child's wedding. A mother who was asked to fund it, not attend it. You don't get to erase someone and expect their bank account to stay loyal. He rubbed his forehead. Why are you making this so personal? Because it is personal. The words hung there. Sharp final. He exhaled hard. You're going to regret this. I shook my head. No, Ethan. I regret staying quiet for so long. He stared at me like he didn't recognize me. Maybe he didn't. Maybe for the first time I wasn't being who they'd cast me to be. Good night, I said. He left. Not angrily. Just defeated. And when the door clicked shut behind him, the silence that followed didn't feel empty. It felt earned. By morning, my phone was a blinking mess. 43 missed calls, most from Jeremy, a few from Ethan, even one from Claire, her name a surprise. She'd never called me directly before. And then the texts. This is getting out of hand. We just want to talk. You're blowing this way out of proportion. The deposit bounced. Do you understand what that means? Yes. I understood exactly what it meant. It meant they thought I'd keep giving even after they stopped seeing me as family. I made breakfast like usual. Eggs, toast, strawberries. Ate alone at the kitchen table. Sunlight coming in through the blinds. Quiet hum of the neighbor's lawnmower outside. They were scrambling. I wasn't. Around 10:42 a.m., a new email landed. From Jeremy's address, but clearly written by Olivia. Subject line, let's reset. I opened it, even though I already knew what it would say. Mom, I know things have gotten tense. I know the live stream idea hurt your feelings, and I'm sorry that wasn't communicated better. We were trying to make things simpler, more organized, less emotional. Ah, yes, less emotional. God forbid a wedding have too much feeling. Anyway, we still want you to be involved. If resuming the transfer would help everyone feel more supported, we're open to discussing your attendance at the ceremony. There it was. Not an apology, not an invitation, a negotiation. They were willing to discuss letting me back in if the money came first. I stared at the screen, rereading the last paragraph twice. And then I did something I hadn't done in years. I laughed, out loud, alone in my kitchen. The kind of laugh that isn't joyful, just done. I didn't reply. I didn't forward the email. I archived it. Then I opened a blank note on my phone and typed, if your place at the table depends on a payment you were never really invited. I saved it. Not to post. Not to send. Just for me. Because for so long I'd tried to earn my place in a family I had already built from scratch. And now I finally saw the truth. They didn't want a mother. They wanted a sponsor. And I wasn't available for either anymore. The knock came just after sunset. I wasn't expecting anyone, not after the week I'd had. I'd silenced my phone. The porch light flicked on automatically, casting a soft glow on the steps. When I opened the door, I saw her. Sophie Mendez. I hadn't seen her in over a decade. She looked older, of course, but her eyes were still the same wide, clear, the kind that used to light up every time Olivia dragged her over for sleepovers. Sophie, I said, surprised. It's been ages. I know. I'm sorry to drop by like this. She held a small paper bag, lemon scones still warm. Thought you might need something that wasn't an email. I let her in. We sat at the kitchen table, the same one where she and Olivia used to draw crayon family portraits, always giving me extra big smiles and long curly hair I never had. She took a bite, then set her scone down gently. Olivia's a mess. I said nothing. She's not saying it, but she knows she pushed you too far. Everyone does. She sent you, I asked. No, I came because you deserved someone to tell you the truth. I watched her carefully. Sophie had always been Olivia's mirror, whatever Olivia thought Sophie amplified. But tonight her voice was her own. I watched you, you know, she said. Back then, you'd get home late from work and still make grilled cheese sandwiches for both of us. You never yelled, you never complained, just kept going. She paused. I think Olivia thought you'd always be there, no matter how little she showed up in return. I let that land. It didn't hurt. It just confirmed something I already knew. Sophie leaned forward. She doesn't know how to say sorry, but she also doesn't know how to treat you right. And that's the bigger problem. I nodded slowly. So why come? Because she's asking the wrong question. She's wondering what she can say to fix it. She looked me in the eye. But I came to ask you, is there anything she could say that would make you come back? Silence filled the room. The kind of silence that doesn't press, just waits. I answered gently. No, there isn't. Sophie swallowed hard, then nodded. She didn't try to argue. She didn't defend Olivia. She just said, I get it, even if she doesn't. She left not long after. The screen door creaked, then settled. I stood at the window and watched her walk to her car, shoulders rounded. Not everyone gets closure. But that night I did. The wedding didn't happen. Not the way they planned anyway. The vineyard canceled when the final payment never came. The florist backed out a day later, too many unpaid invoices. The string quartet Olivia had found on Instagram had another booking. Even the officiant fell through. They tried scrambling, calling in favors, switching to a smaller venue, but everything was either fully booked or well out of budget without my $50,000 padding the edges. According to Ethan, who finally texted me 2 days later, they ended up hosting a simple backyard ceremony at Jeremy's parents' house. 14 guests. No music. Costco cupcakes instead of the organic cake Olivia had taste tested 3 months ago. No one walked her down the aisle. She walked herself. I wasn't invited. And for the first time, I didn't need to be. There was no announcement, no drama. Just silence. And silence can feel like thunder when you've been taught to expect noise. I spent that Saturday reading in the sunroom. I didn't refresh social media. I didn't check my phone. I made myself a turkey sandwich, folded laundry, and took a walk through the neighborhood trail where wildflowers had just started to bloom. Halfway through my walk, I passed a boutique with a window display, a mannequin in a pale blue mother of the bride dress, the kind I might have worn had I been asked. I stopped, looked at it, then kept walking. No bitterness, no envy, just clarity. They thought the wedding would go on without me, and technically it did. But something else collapsed that day. Not just the schedule, not just the flowers and guest list. The illusion. The one where I stayed quiet to keep the peace. The one where love meant giving even when it meant erasing yourself. The one where motherhood was only valued if it came with a blank check attached. It all came down quietly, like a house whose foundation had already rotted years ago. Later that night, I got one final text from Ethan's ceremony happened. Everyone's tired. Olivia's not speaking much. Jeremy's mom is furious. I think it finally hit them. Hope you're okay. I typed a reply. I'm peaceful. And I meant it. 2 weeks later, Olivia sent a letter. Not a text. Not an email. A real handwritten letter, 3 pages front and back. It arrived in a pale pink envelope with my name written in cursive I barely recognized. I made myself tea before I opened it. Sat by the window, the one that gets the best morning light, and unfolded the pages slowly, as if they might break. The letter was everything and nothing all at once. Half apology. Half excuse. I didn't mean to hurt you. We were trying to simplify things. Jeremy's parents had very specific ideas. It got out of control. Not once did she write I was wrong. Not once did she say, "You didn't deserve that." Near the end, she wrote, "I hope someday we can rebuild. I miss how things used to be." I folded the letter neatly, slid it back into the envelope, and placed it in my desk drawer. Not out of spite. Not out of hope. Just to put it somewhere, it wouldn't fall over. There was nothing left to say. Closure doesn't always come with a dramatic scene or final confrontation. Sometimes it's quiet. A drawer closing, a kettle boiling, a day that feels soft around the edges. I started going to a pottery class on Wednesdays. At first, my hands ached from the wheel, untrained and stiff. But the clay responded anyway. It didn't ask for explanations. It just took shape under steady pressure. Some weeks, I sit by the river trail with a paperback and let the wind move around me. No expectations. No performance. Just space. I have dinner with friends now. People who see me for more than what I can give. They ask how I'm doing, and they wait for the answer. Not because they want anything, but because they care. Ethan checks in sometimes. No big conversations. Just small updates. It's enough. Olivia hasn't followed up. That's okay. I'm not angry. I'm just not available for the version of love that only recognizes me when it needs something. For too long, I kept setting myself on fire to keep other people warm. But now there's no fire left to burn. And for the first time in decades, I'm not standing in someone else's story hoping for a line. I'm writing my own.